This is Lagos Talks 91.3.
Okay, you're listening to 91.3 Lagos Talks. It is 28 minutes gone past 4 o'clock on this very eventful day. So I think they were not joking when they did say the protest would happen, and we've seen reports across the country, pockets of demonstrations and processions. I think that the issue now is not one group is having a protest. It's like a cluster of groups, even within subnationals. Within the states, you have not one, not two persons. There's like a cluster, and it's a lot more difficult to really coordinate or dialogue with or have conversations with from the angle of the government. But it's all good. Welcome. This is the live drive on Lagos Talks 91.3. My name is Kola Wole Falodo. We're going to begin today with the office. We have the office coming up in a bit, and our guest is standing by 5 o'clock. Critical Thinking with Zeal. Today is quite packed up as usual. Nothing is changing here on Lagos Talks. We will give you all what you expect to have on a regular Thursday like this. And to the security operatives who are doing what they have to do to contain or to forestall any escalation of the protests, I would say exercise restraint. I know you guys are I want to believe you guys are intelligent, so please exercise restraint and let's learn from the past. Throwing tear gases at peaceful protesters is only going to result to a definitive outcome, which is an escalation. People are not ships. People are not non-living things. They will react. So in order to just douse tensions, don't be so quick to shooting tear gases indiscriminately when it's not even necessary. People are on the verge, and it's just taking what people call church mind for people not to start to misbehave. But when you begin to escalate issues by throwing around tear gas canisters unnecessarily, then you know that you haven't learned from the past, and it questions your intelligence. But I want to believe that you all are intelligent officers and force members, so please do your job, and let's get into it today. Okay, you're listening to 91.3 Lagos Talks. I'll go for a quick break, and then I'll come back for our guest is standing by. Up next is The Office.
News, information, and laughs. It's Live Drive. 18 million people finally have a voice. This is Lagos Talks 91.3.
Okay, so we're back. That was a breather. We're back. Of course, The Office is proudly brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, CIPM, and Lagos Talks 91.3. Our guest is with us. He joins us via Zoom. He is the managing partner of First Ecclesia Professional Services. That's a leading HR and management consulting firm in Nigeria. He serves on the board of directors for several organizations, including Black Skill Limited and Premium Trust Bank. He has extensive experience in HR management consulting and organizational development with a strong educational background, including a first degree in industrial and labor relations and 2 master's degrees. He is a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants and a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. He is committed to enhancing the global visibility and employability of African talents, right? And so he's got a lot of goodies to appreciate as far as what he has done so far with his career is concerned. So this evening on The Office, we are speaking with someone who will be impacting knowledge extensively into our lives. So please make welcome with me our guest this evening on The Office. He is Olubenga Emisi Omojola, MCIPM, management consultant, executive coach, and board advisor. Good to have you join us. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well. Thank you so much, Kola. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. And I hope that you're you're relaxed where you are and mostly enjoying the day?
I wish I could say that. Actually, I'm at work. I'm working from home today. I'm in my
Uh,
office in the house. And, it's been quite an interesting day, I must say. And I overheard your intro just before you introduced the program, speaking about the protest and all that. And really, um, as a Nigerian, my heart is actually out there, feeling the pains of what we Nigerians are feeling. And I really do just pray that things do get smoothened out. And nobody wants the country to be grounded to a halt. So I do pray, like you said, that things do smoothen out very soon. And we get the right kind of governance that we desire and we need in Nigeria. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thanks for lending your voice to that briefly. Okay, so this is the office. It is proudly brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, CIPM, and Lagos Talks 91.3. Okay, so our topic this evening is rethinking the employee value proposition in a post-pandemic world. We've had groundbreaking events in our history, generally as human beings. I think the pandemic, because it was a pandemic, globally there's a reference to the year 2020. And everything beyond the year 2020 is post-pandemic. And it's quite significant because a lot changed in the way we work right now because of the pandemic. Many things changed. The strategies employed in managing human resources changed. Where we worked from, to our offices changed, and many other things as well. So let's talk about this, rethinking the employee value proposition in a post-pandemic world. And quickly, we'll run through our questions. First would be, what's your idea of how we've started again in a post-pandemic world when it comes to work culture?
Okay, thanks a lot. Well, how we started post-pandemic, the work culture, I must say that it was a transformation really, and not all the changes that we experienced were easy. Some were quite difficult. Some organizations had to struggle with a bit. Even employees, workers had to struggle a bit, but there were changes that we couldn't just run away from. There were changes that came upon us by virtue of what the world had experienced, like you said, the pandemic. And interestingly, it indeed was an epoch-making period because you recall that from history, we found that I think about 100 years ago, the world experienced a similar pandemic, and there was a shutdown of the world and all that. So it took about 100 years for something like that to happen again. So really, it's the changes have been far-reaching, and a number of them, of course, start with the remote working. Like you asked how my day had been, and I said I've been at work all day, but really I've been at work all day at my desk in my house. I'm privileged to have a place where I call it office in the house where and I've been productive. I've been highly productive, and I've been in touch with my colleagues across different states, in the country, and we've actually been productive doing quite a number of things. So yes, the world of work really did change tremendously after the pandemic, when we realized that, hey, you don't have to get on the road, especially for certain services, certain professions, you don't have to get on the road and
Absolutely.
actually go into an office built with brick and mortar somewhere for you to be able to be productive. So really, yeah, that's one major thing. And if I could just go on, one other very major thing that I see that has changed is an increase in the appreciation for mental wellness, for mental health, mental wellness, and beyond just even mental wellness, for health, for wellness generally. There were a lot of deaths during the pandemic. Thankfully, I mean, may the souls of the departed rest in peace, and we commiserate with the families that lost people. But thankfully, in Africa, it wasn't as bad as it was projected, right? But that that awareness did hit us that, hey, people who had underlying health issues are the most vulnerable to, you understand? And so people woke up to the fact that, hey, I need to take my health more seriously. So it became a lot more, something of more priority. Because I remember, I mean, when we got into the workforce, if you tell your employer or your boss that you're not feeling too well, they look at you and say, my friend, go and get the job done. You're not feeling too well. But now there's a bit of more appreciation for wellness, and even up to the point of mental wellness, which the you know, there's been some form of stigmatization about it years up to now, but with learning, with the advancements that we've experienced right now, the stigmatization has gone so low. Recently, I saw someone on TV saying a public figure in the US saying he's dealing currently with some mental wellness issues. I was like, wow, people actually do acknowledge these things easily now these days. Yeah, so those are one of the things that I've seen that really have happened. And again, if I could just chip in one more thing, what we call the gig economy, where people just rather just want to work for multiple employers and not necessarily signing an employment contract that will bind them to just one employer as an employee. So you could serve different employers as with your talent, and without you confining yourself to just one employer or one office space. That also has spread widely,
All right.
across
Okay.
most sectors of the economy. Yeah.
Okay. So let's bring in this whole concept of EVP, the employee value proposition. What is that all about, and why is it seeming like a must-have for any organization now?
Okay. Excellent. Thanks. Well, so two questions. So first, what's the EVP? And really, we must be mindful that we have our listeners are spread across various sectors of, and various categories. And so we should assume everybody knows what the EVP means. An acronym, and the E stands for employee, the V stands for value, and the P stands for proposition. So it's an employee value proposition. And really, simply put, it's like it's a part of employer branding that says, hey, as an employer, this is a statement of why you should want to work for me or work with me. It's a statement of saying these are the benefits, these are the rewards, these are the opportunities that you would get from working with us. This is the kind of fulfillment you will get beyond just salaries. Beyond just salaries, because it's been discovered, over the years that human beings, yes, we need money to solve certain basic level needs. But really, once you move from those basic level needs, there are other aspirations that human beings have, and you want to put yourself forward as an employer and say, hey, I'll meet these needs if you come trade your talents, your skills, your knowledge, for these things I have to provide. And then you asked and said, why is it important? Why does it seem to be a must-have? Well, there's competition for talent, really. Yes, I know there's unemployment out there. There's a lot of unemployment. However, you must note clearly. You must note clearly.
Yeah.
You must note clearly that in spite of the fact that there's unemployment, there's the instance of shortage of good talent, of excellent talent as well. So when I say talent, I'm not just talking about people who appear for work. By talent, I'm talking about people who already have the required competencies, the skills, the knowledge, and attitude
Plug and
to
play, ready
provide
to.
services and solve.
Okay.
Well, yes, not even just ready to work, but that can actually provide solutions to challenges that organizations have. And that's really what you mean by talent. And there's a struggle. As a matter of fact, there's war for this few, and I must say that there are few. And the higher you go in the hierarchy, the higher you go in terms of the quality, of these talents, the harder it is for you to find. I'm an executive search consultant, for example. We have organizations who reach out to us every day to say there's this role our HR has been trying to fill. It's been so long. I mean, please, could you just help us out? And we go out there, even ourselves, it's our day job to find these talents. But sometimes you search and search, it's like finding a pin in a haystack. So if that's the situation of things, right, then you had better have a very strong employee value proposition that will put out there to say, if you come work for us, if you come work with us, these are the things that you get. This is the kind of culture we have. These are the kind of growth opportunities you have. These are the kind of developmental opportunities you have, And pretty much that's why it's a more...
But how was it, pre-COVID now? Did COVID change the way people looked for talents? And if it did, what was it like pre-COVID? And what exactly might have changed over time?
Yes, excellent. I appreciate that. That's a very valid question. Did COVID change that? Yes, COVID changed a lot about how we live as humans, and it did affect the world of work, and it did affect how we search for talents, and it actually did also affect how we put together our employee value proposition or our employer branding. So a good point, a good example would be now if I'm looking for talent, let's imagine that Lagos Talks engages us, hopefully, and says, come recruit, we're looking to fill, say, maybe a data analyst role, a senior data analyst role. If we go out there, put an advert out, and then we're trying to interview people, I can tell you that 99.9% of talent would engage would ask, what is the mode of work? These were questions that we almost never used to hear in 2019.
So now they want to know if they're going to be working skeletally, they'll work remotely or working on site.
Hybrid.
So there are more questions now.
Ask, is it hybrid? Yeah, they want to
So
ask,
are people really turning down hybrid? Oh my goodness! Because are people really turning down jobs that don't offer hybrid options? Are they like really pushing them away?
A simple answer to that is absolutely yes. So you would see people, and it's simple, really. Let me put it out to you. It's simple. I mean, so you have a job offer that says you'll earn 500,000 naira monthly, and then you have a job offer that says you'll earn 350,000 naira monthly. The 350,000 naira monthly one says that you get to work hybrid, meaning maybe you have 2 days on site, 3 days remote. The 500K one says you have to come to work, boots on the ground in the office every day. And you calculate what it would cost you transportation-wise, buying fuel, and the time you spend on the road. No, don't let me even come to the time you spend on the road. You calculate just even the costs of either taking public transportation or buying fuel or hiring a driver, and you realize that to pay a driver already, you probably are paying 100,000 there just to hire a driver that gets you around or more. Take that out of the 500K, you're back to 400K, right? Or 300 and something K. Then you buy fuel, you maintain the vehicle. How many days are you on the road? Not to now mention the man hours time you spend or waste
on your health, on the road that could in a way affect your health, So
your health. And when you do that, when you try and balance it, you realize you're better off with the 350K that says you can work remotely. So people are absolutely turning down jobs that are not offering hybrid opportunities.
All right, let's quickly go on a break and then we'll come back and touch on some more areas of this conversation. You're listening to 91.3 Lagos Talks. Our guest on the office this evening is Olugbenga Omojola. He's a management consultant, an executive coach, and a board advisor. And we have been talking about rethinking the employee value proposition in a post-pandemic world. Of course, you heard him when he said that people are really turning down jobs that don't offer hybrid options. It's quite interesting, and that was never on the table pre-COVID. We'll come back and talk more. You're listening to 91.3. This is Lagos Talks.
News, information, and laughs. It's Live Drive.
Attention, Airtel customers. If your line has been blocked, then this is for you. head to the nearest Airtel shop with your NIN. Our friendly staff will help you get your line back up and running. Don't let a blocked line keep you out of touch.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Okay, listening to 91.3 Lagos Talks. Let's go on to other questions. We still have our guest this evening, Olubenga Omojola, this evening with us. He's been here physically and is doing it virtually. Perhaps because of, I won't go into that. Okay, so let's quickly jump into another question. How crucial is career development and growth opportunities in the new EVP? Now that people have options about how they work, they can work remotely and it's changing every day. Is it more, how important is it now, to focus or to pay attention to issues bordering on growth opportunities, growth generally, career development generally as a talent post-pandemic?
Okay, great. I think I'll start off this way. So we've mentioned that EVP is the employer branding and the statement of how to show why talent should work with you, why they should choose you over another organization in your industry or somewhere else. And one of the major things that will be included in your value proposition, and really I must even add even your employee value proposition strategy, because there must be a strategy before you come out with the statement, right? One of the major elements of it is being able to show talent that there will be opportunities for them to develop and grow. Now, a lot of times we use these two words interchangeably, and really they are not interchangeably. We can't really, there's some form of distinct differences between both. The growth and career development, career growth speaks generally to you being able to rise within the hierarchy in the organization, you being able to be promoted. So you're showing them that we have a structure and we have a great performance management system that when you attain X, Y, Z performance levels, you will grow, right, within the organization. And also you will then also show how they can develop. And development then speaks to them being able to enhance and grow their competencies, their technical and their behavioral competencies, meaning, so you actually could grow within an organization, could get promoted along the lines, and over the years you might find out that you're not developing. So you might not have both. So both should be on an EVP, saying not only do you get to be promoted, not only do you get to earn more, not only do you get to be recognized, but you would also be enhanced. And this comes from a number of things. Firstly, yes, you'll say training and development or learning and development, as you would like to put it. And beyond that, because really most organizations would offer that, but beyond that, what I see that organizations should do more will be, we even have opportunities for mentoring and for coaching. So we have a system where you'll be assigned to a coach internally who would look at your competencies, work with you on how to bridge gaps in your deficient areas or your proficiency areas that's one. And then mentoring as well. You will be assigned to a mentor who's probably been a bit longer in the organization after looking at how you want to grow or develop, and then they match it with you, and the personal sessions with usually someone older and that has been in the profession a bit longer within the organization. I would say that when talents see these opportunities and when they see these kind of propositions, they would pick it over even monetary values, because really you pay for coaching out there, you pay for mentoring sometimes out there. You're getting it, the employer is telling you, hey, you get this as part of the package of working with us,
Okay, so how can
really
you?
It's
Okay, so how can you? I'll ask a two-in-one question now. I mean, it's getting more competitive from both ends. Their talents, and then their organizations looking to hire these talents. And right now, it just seems like organizations are outdoing each other, offering more of these, or considering more of these propositions and all of that. and then the talents are saying, okay, I can now pick this will work for me. This is better for my career and all of that. Do you think there's an active outdoing situation happening? Companies are leveraging or capitalizing on this new reality and taking the best talents for themselves?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. For example, I'm an employer myself. We employ people, talents in our organization, and yes, we do. Once you're able to put together an excellent proposition and a strategy, value proposition and a strategy, you go out there and you're able to attract the best talent, or rather, I'd say the right talents for your organization. And what that means, if you're able to go into an industry and get the right talents there, what it means is that your competitors won't have the access to this talent. And really, what brings a competitive advantage beyond maybe you may have other things, but what really differentiates Lagos Talks from another radio station? It's not so much of the gadgets. You could all go to the same market and buy the same gadgets. It's not so much of the bandwidth or whatever, but pretty much it's the humans of Lagos Talks. It's the people who speak on the radio. What's the flavor you bring? So if Lagos Talks has then been able to present an excellent value proposition to then attract the best or the right kind of talents, you will then have that competitive edge over other stations, really, because that's the primary way to have a competitive advantage. So yes, organizations are taking advantage of it, and they're trying to outdo each other, really, to attract these talents.
So people are in business. Yeah, you nailed it well. But people are, of course, people are in business for profit, right? They want to stay in business, and perhaps a lot of employers of labor are wondering, I hope there's no trade-off in this new direction. Now, the average Joe, maybe the average boomer who didn't grow up in these circumstances, just sees you working from home as, they were working from home thing as a lazy idea. People should come to the office, let's work together and be more, intertwined and get job done. So do you think there's a worry, maybe a valid worry about productivity and staying in business? Do you think there's cause to worry about that?
There's absolutely valid reasons to worry about that. Yes, the work from home or work remotely can be abused, and I've seen it have been abused. As a matter of fact, I've seen people who will do other things apart from work because, hey, they're at home anyway. So yes, that concern is valid, and this is where really I think I'm speaking more to employers and probably the HR professionals that are listening to me right now. And this is where performance management comes in. This is where metrics come in. You need to be able to measure appropriately what is required of a person, of a talent, of an employee, and what is being delivered. So irrespective of if the person is working remotely or the person is working on site. And again, there must be a remote working policy that says these are the things you're expected to do when you're working remotely. You're expected to be online on this app or on this platform at all times. These are your response rates to emails or messages should be, standardized. There's a standard operating procedure that says,
hey, so there's a way around it.
Don't respond to a message 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Then at the end of the day, what have you been able to do? Your line manager assesses that, and it goes into a system that assesses it. And the decision makers, the employer, really needs to be able to see that and see, is this helping us in any way? And really, I'm an apostle of the hybrid model. As human beings, we do need to come together. I think we were created as social beings. So it should be a blend, of both. That's what I'd say.
A hybrid, okay.
A blend of you working remotely, and then the hybrid, and then so what now throws that balance would depend on either the seniority level of the talent. Usually the younger ones may need some bit more of supervision than when we're talking about a a more senior person or an executive level. So it varies. And I must say quickly that EVPs also vary. You can't just say this is our EVP as an organization. It must be designed in such a way that I'm appreciating that what employees need, what they rate, what they value, varies based on level they are currently. Right. What will drive an entry-level professional, to say I want to work for this company is different from what will drive a mid-level, different from what will drive or attract, an executive level professional. So it varies.
Okay. All right. We need to wrap it up now. What are give us some final nuggets. Most especially to companies who are going through this brainstorming session and trying to see if indeed this is the way to go, because like I said, there are concerns when it comes to productivity. But what would you say to employees in a nutshell as we wrap things up? What's your advice to people who are still contemplating on this new drive?
Okay, so, number one, it's on us. We can't run away from it. And the requirement, what it has thrown on us, we have to take it. Otherwise, we'll be left behind. We'll become like dinosaurs, really, and be left behind. We won't be able to get the right talent if we don't rethink and revamp our AVP. That's